Hey everybody, welcome back to Mr. Money Sense TV, the channel where we help you earn more, keep more, and grow more money. Your child's financial success can be molded by the things that you teach them when they're young, and teaching them about FICO credit scores is an important component of that. Their FICO score is going to follow them for the rest of their life, and that's going to be greatly impact their ability to gain wealth through their years. I mean, the difference between an 800 credit score and a 500 credit score can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars over your child's life. So teaching them about how to have a good FICO score and the responsible habits they need to do to maintain a good FICO score can be greatly important. And in this video, I'm going to give you a bunch of tips on how to go about teaching your child the basics of having a good FICO score. First step to teaching them about having a good FICO score is to first have a good one yourself and set a good example. So children are like sponges, as I'm sure you're aware, and they learn by seeing, kind of monkey see, monkey do. And if you have a good FICO score and are bringing them into conversations around your household income, your household chores, and those sort of things, you can kind of show them by doing how to have a good score. If you don't have a good score yourself or need tips and tricks on how to improve your credit score or just want to learn more about maintaining a good credit score, I linked a video below as well as in the little icon above that will teach you about different credit hacks to improve your own credit score that you can then pass on that knowledge to your kids. Another idea you can use to help your kids learn about FICO credit scores is to reward their good behavior. So for example, a FICO scores or credit score is all about basically getting a better score for being responsible. So if you're rewarding their good behavior and their responsible behavior, then that can kind of indirectly affect how they go about thinking about their money and making the right decisions. So an easy way to do this is, for example, reward them if they save a certain amount each week or month. So say if you're doing a regular allowance or if they're old enough to have a job, if they're saving, say, 20% of their income, then why don't you match that? Match their savings or give them some sort of reward for being responsible with their money. If you give them some sort of reward, they kind of build it in their head and their knowledge that, hey, if I do the right things when it comes to my money, then I get rewarded. Just like, hey, if I make these payments on time, or if I do these right things, keep my credit utilization low, I'll be rewarded with a good FICO score. The correlation's pretty high when it comes to that. So if you teach them those just good money habits by rewarding that good behavior, then it's really going to benefit them in the long run. So another cool idea is to basically give your child a credit score, but based on the chores they do in their household. So for example, say each child in your family has a weekly chore list that they're supposed to do, whether that's homework, mopping the floors, or whatever the case may be. Well, give them a score on how responsibly they do their chores. That's going to be similar in terms of setting up those right habits early, because just like doing chores, FICO score works pretty similarly. It just rewards responsible behavior and doing the right things in the right way. So if you kind of condition that even through something as simple as chores, it's going to build that muscle memory, those right habits when they're young. So here's how you go about doing that. First, if they have a list of all of the chores they're supposed to get done, well, if they do all those chores perfectly without skipping a beat or missing, dust left on the shelf or whatever the case may be, if they do everything perfectly, give them a score of 850. But here's the trick. Make sure that you have some sort of reward system based on their score. Just like with credit score, you're going to have a reward system and lower interest rates the higher you have the higher you are on your credit score. And you're also going to have negative impacts when you have a lower credit score by having a higher interest rate. So what I would recommend is doing something like, say, if they maintain an 850, they get 3 hours of video games per week or whatever their reward system you have within your own family. You can kind of see where I'm going with, say it's, if they're 850, they can get 3 hours of video games. If it's 800, 2 hours of video games. If it's 750, they have to have an extra chore. If it's 600, they have to have 2 extra chores. something like that that rewards them based on what their score is and how well they do their chores. And how you would go about dinging them is if, say, everything's perfect, they get an 850. If they leave dust on the shelf, or they skip a day, or don't do something to your satisfaction, then you can drop their score systematically. So this is a similar way to teach them about, again, getting that muscle memory for how FICO credit scores work. To add on to that, a good thing that you can do is if they have siblings, rank them against each other. I know this may not necessarily be the best thing from a morality perspective with your kids, but it can really teach them that responsibility, because in the real world, you're judged against your peers. So if you're more responsible of a lender or buyer than your peers, then you're going to get rewarded with a better credit score. It should be no different in your family, where if one child is acting more responsibly, they should get more of the rewards. But the key to prevent these type of arguments is to have the rules clearly defined, so that way you can't be viewed as picking favorites or anything like that. Have the rules clearly defined and show the child if they are getting dinged against their sibling, then make sure they know why and point back to the rules, so that way they know, hey, it's purely based on the rules, not just favoritism. The fifth and final step is to learn by doing. So if the child's old enough, what you can do is you can actually add them to one of your credit cards, or if they're even old enough, you can get a credit card in their own name. But then what you can do is teach them about having a good credit score, maintaining a good credit score, by purchasing items on that credit card and then paying them off immediately. So start small. So have, say, one payment a month. Say it's gas if they're old enough to drive, or snacks at school, or whatever the case may be. Have one small payment per month going onto a credit card that you can easily monitor over with them. And then once you have that payment on there, make sure you're paying it off immediately, and coach them on why you have to pay it off immediately, and show them how to set up automated bill payments and things like that, so that they get firsthand experience going in, using a credit card, using it responsibly, paying it off, and understanding how that interest is going to impact them and why they want to set up these automated payments. And as they start to do this, they're going to build their credit on their own. So you can actually go through and do things like get them a credit score once a year, so that they can go through and see how they're building their own credit. And you can kind of coach them on that, as well as, again, going back to tip number one, involve them in your own credit score process. So that way you can see together how the score builds and how it impacts or is impacted by your responsible habits. These are the things that you can start doing today to impact your child's credit score. And it's going to just set them up for future financial success, because, again, your credit score follows you for the rest of your life. And it impacts things like mortgages, cars, credit cards, even their ability to get an apartment after college, or even get a job. So it's incredibly important to teach your child about having a good credit score, because it's really going to impact their life, and it's going to impact their ability to build wealth. And I hope you found this video useful. If you did, make sure you like this video, and it really helps our channel. And also make sure you subscribe. We try to provide a lot of information that is valuable to help you either earn more money, keep more money, or grow more money. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that little bell to get notified anytime we release a new video. But until next time, cheers.